Welcome to sleepy nights. Crescent moon. A peaceful place where your day gently fades away, and sweet dreams begin. This story name Elara and the Luminous Sword. Once upon a time, in a land wrapped in emerald forests and silver rivers, there lived a young warrior princess named Elara. Elara had hair as black as the midnight sky and eyes bright as morning dew. She was brave and kind, always helping her people in the kingdom of Astravia. Though she was younger than most of the royal guards, Elara was clever, quick on her feet, and eager to learn. Astravia was a peaceful kingdom, where children ran barefoot through meadows and elders shared stories by flickering fireplaces. Yet a shadow loomed from the north. The neighboring kingdom of Draven sought to take Astravia's lands. Their soldiers marched closer every day, their armor shining coldly beneath stormy skies. Elara's father, King Cedric, and her mother, Queen Rina, gathered their council in the great stone hall. Everyone worried about what would become of their home. Elara listened from the gallery, her heart pounding like a drum. She wished she could help defend Astravia, but she was still so young and no one expected her to lead. One evening, as the sun dipped into a sea of orange and purple, Elara wandered into the castle's library. She pulled a dusty book from the highest shelf. The book was ancient, its cover worn and golden letters faded. As she opened it, an old map slipped out and fluttered to the ground. Elara knelt to pick up the map. She saw twisting lines and strange symbols. In the center was a picture of a gleaming sword, bright as starlight, with a faint circle around it. Beneath the sword, the words, "The Sword of Seraphi," were written in curling letters. Elara's heart skipped a beat. She had heard tales of Seraphi's sword, a magical weapon said to appear to the one who truly wished to protect their home. The stories claimed the sword could lead armies to victory and bring hope when all seemed lost. The map showed a path starting at the castle gates, winding through the whispering woods and across the river of reflection. Beyond the river, it led to the caves of light, hidden deep under Mount Seraphi. Elara knew the journey would be dangerous, but if she could find the sword, perhaps she could help her people. That night, while the kingdom slept, Elara packed a satchel with bread, cheese, and a flask of cool spring water. She tucked the map and the old book into her bag and crept down the staircase. Her loyal dog, Patch, a shaggy gray hound, padded quietly behind her. He wagged his tail, ready to guard her on the journey. Together, Elara and Patch slipped through the castle gates as the moon watched over them. The whispering woods were thick with tall trees, their leaves shimmering silver in the moonlight. Owls hooted and foxes darted between the shadows. Elara felt a shiver of fear, but pressed on, Patch close by her side. As they walked deeper into the woods, the wind seemed to carry voices. Who enters the whispering woods? It sighed. Elara stood tall. It is I, Princess Elara of Astravia, seeking the Sword of Seraphi to save my people. The woods hushed, as if listening. A tiny robin fluttered onto a branch nearby. Be brave, young princess, chirped the bird. Take the path where the moonlight dances on the moss, and you will find your way. Elara thanked the robin and followed the moonlit path, her heart swelling with hope. Soon they reached the edge of the forest. Before them stretched the river of reflection. Its water was so clear that Elara could see the stars shimmering on its surface. There was no bridge, only slippery stones poking through the current. Elara hesitated, but Patch leaped onto the first stone with a happy bark. Carefully, she followed him, stone by stone. Halfway across, she looked down and saw her reflection. Instead of fear, she saw courage in her eyes. "I can do this," she whispered. They reached the far bank just as dawn painted the sky with rosy colors. The air smelled of wet grass and wildflowers. Elara unrolled the map and saw they needed to find the entrance to the Caves of Light, hidden among a grove of ancient willow trees. The willow trees swayed gently, their long branches glimmering with dew. Elara searched among their roots, and soon Patch barked and began to dig. Beneath the roots was a stone door, covered in moss and carved with swirling patterns. Elara pushed the door open, and cool air rushed from below. She lit a lantern from her satchel, its soft glow lighting the stone steps winding down into the darkness. Patch led the way, his nose twitching as he sniffed the air. Inside the caves, crystal sparkled along the walls, casting rainbows that danced before Elara's eyes. The tunnels twisted and turned, sometimes wide as a hall, sometimes narrow as a rabbit's burrow. Elara followed the map's path, her fingers tracing the drawings for guidance. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a vast cavern. In the center stood a pedestal made of pure white marble. Upon it rested the Sword of Seraphi. It glowed with a gentle blue light, as if it held a piece of the sky within its blade. Elara stepped forward, her heart beating fast. The cave was silent except for the sound of Patch's gentle breath. As she reached out, a voice echoed through the cavern. "Only the one with a selfless heart may claim the sword. Do you wish for power or to protect?" Elara answered without hesitation. "I wish to protect my people, my home, and those I love. I seek not power for myself, but hope for Astravia." The sword shimmered and floated gently into her hands. The hilt was warm, and the blade hummed softly, like a lullaby. The cavern filled with a soft, golden light. Elara felt courage and love swirling in her chest. Patch barked happily, his tail wagging faster than ever. The cave seemed to glow even brighter, and Elara saw the path home glittering before her. 02. With the sword in her hands, Elara and Patch raced back through the tunnels and up into the sunlight. The willow trees seemed to bow as she passed beneath their branches. The river of reflection sparkled as they crossed, and the whispering woods whispered words of encouragement. When they returned to the castle, Elara found her parents and the council gathered anxiously. She held the Sword of Seraphi high, its blue light shining through the hall. Gasps filled the air. Elara told them of her journey, her promise to protect, and how the sword had chosen her. King Cedric and Queen Rina hugged their daughter tightly. "You are brave, Elara, and wise beyond your years," said the king. "With you leading us, Astravia has hope." Word spread quickly that Princess Elara carried the magical sword. When the soldiers of Draven saw its shimmering light on the battlefield, their courage melted away. They listened as Elara spoke of peace and hope. Many laid down their arms, no longer wishing to fight. Elara led her people with kindness and courage. The Sword of Seraphi never harmed unless it was to defend the innocent. Instead, it glowed to light dark places, healed wounds, and brought comfort to those who were afraid. The kingdom of Astravia flourished. Flowers bloomed in the meadows, children's laughter filled the air, and the people no longer feared the shadow from the north. Elara often walked among her people, listening to their stories, helping those in need, and always carrying the sword with honor. Patch became a hero, too. He wore a blue ribbon around his neck and led the children on adventures through the meadows and forests. The people of Astravia sang songs about the little hound who helped the princess save their home. Elara's journey became a story passed from parent to child. By the fireside, children listened wide-eyed to the tale of the young warrior princess and the sword that glowed with the hope of Astravia. The story reminded them that courage lives in every heart, no matter how young. As years passed, Elara grew into a wise and just queen. She always remembered that night she discovered the map in the old library and the promise she made in the caves of light. The Sword of Seraphi still rested by her side, shining with the same gentle blue light. The people of Astravia thrived in peace and happiness. Elara's kindness inspired others to lead with love and courage. The magic of the sword was not just in its blade, but in the hope it brought to all who saw it. When the days were long and the nights cold, Elara would gather the children in the great hall and tell them her story. She spoke of the whispering woods, the river that showed her true courage, and the sword that only glowed for the pure of heart. Patch, now older but just as loyal, curled at her feet as the children listened. Their eyes grew wide with wonder and their hearts brave with hope. Elara smiled, knowing that as long as the story was told, Astravia would never be without courage. And so the kingdom slept peacefully, wrapped in the light of hope and guarded by the love of their warrior queen. The Sword of Seraphi shone softly in the royal chamber, always ready to guide the one who would use it for good. The stars watched over Astravia each night, twinkling with pride for the little princess who became a great queen, all because she dared to discover, to hope, and to love. And somewhere, deep in the caves beneath Mount Seraphi, the echoes of Elara's promise still danced among the crystals, a lullaby of bravery for every child who dreams of adventure.